So good morning students, and today's physics lesson we are studying about the chapter electric charges and fields, and our subtopic is applications of Gauss theorem. So we have studied one application of Gauss theorem. We know that Gauss theorem is used to determine electric field intensity due to continuous charge distributions like spherical charge, line charge, surface charge, etc. So in the previous topic we studied about the electric field intensity due to a charged spherical cell. Now today we will discuss about the electric field intensity due to a line charge using Gauss theorem. So we know that Gauss provides a method to determine electric field by drawing a imaginary Gaussian surface, and the flux passing through a Gaussian surface that is represented by phi, and it is also represented by integral E dot dA. This flux is equal to the ratio of algebraic sum of the charges enclosed in the Gaussian surface and epsilon 0. So by using this mathematical form we can calculate electric field. So let we have a line charge. Line charge means charge is distributed uniformly over a line. So that is over line or a wire, and we give it a plus q charge. L is the length of this wire. So this plus q charge distributes uniformly over this wire like this, and due to this line charge we have to calculate electric field intensity at point P, which is r distance away from the wire. So to calculate this electric field, it is more difficult to determine electric field by normal method, so we use Gauss theorem. For this we have to imagine a symmetric Gaussian surface. Symmetric means that Gaussian surface will include this length of the wire and also include the observation distance. So we imagine a cylindrical Gaussian surface. Height of this cylinder represents the length of the wire, and the radius of this cylinder represents the observation distance. So that is our Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface. Now we have three types of surfaces here. Two is circular and one is curved. So we have to determine electric flux coming out of this Gaussian surface by this line charge. For this we divide this whole Gaussian surface into small area elements. So let this is surface S1, and the area element of this surface S1 indicates upwards in upward direction, so we represent it by dA vector. For this curved surface, when we divide this into small area elements, this area element indicates in this direction, that is outwards. And similarly this is a surface S2, and third surface is S3. So here the area elements points downwards. So these are the directions of area. Now we have to mention direction of electric field intensity due to this line charge. So at this surface, electric field is outward to the positive charge or away from the positive charge. So in this side, electric field is either this side. For this surface, electric field is away from the positive charge, so electric field intensity have direction like this. And for surface S3, this is surface S3, electric field intensity is in this direction. So this is electric field intensity. So we calculate flux through these three surfaces and add them to obtain total flux through this cylindrical surface. So Gauss theorem, using Gauss theorem, that is integral over whole surface E dot dA equal to summation q divided by epsilon 0. So that this is the total flux through this whole Gaussian surface, and we can divide it into three parts. So we can write it like this: E dot dA over surface S1, that is flux passing through S1, plus integral over S2 E dot dA plus integral over S3 E dot dA. So total flux can be bifurcated in three parts, that is equal to summation q by epsilon 0. So now we can solve this. For surface S1, angle between E and dA is here we can see that angle between E and dA for surface S1 is 90. So E dA cos 90 plus integral over S2 E dA cos 0. Angle between E and dA is 0 for surface S2 plus integral over S3 E dA cos 90 again. For this surface, angle between E and dA is 90. That is equal to summation q. Summation q is the charge enclosed in this Gaussian surface. So that is q. We have given q charge to this wire, and that q charge is distributed, so it remains in this Gaussian surface. So we can write it q divided by epsilon 0. We can solve that cos 90 is always 0, and cos 0 is equal to 1, and cos 90 is again equal to 0. So we can solve using these trigonometric values. So E over S1 is uniform everywhere. Similarly, E at S2 is also uniform, and E over S3 is also uniform. So we can take this E out of the integration. So E integral over S1 dA, and cos 90 becomes 0, plus E integral dA over S2, and that equals to 1, and plus E integral S3 dA, and that again equals to 0, divided by q by epsilon 0. So we can say that this E times equals to 0. No flux is passing through S1, plus E integral dA over S2 surface, that can be written as 2 pi RL, curved surface area of the cylinder, that is S2, and plus flux passing through S3 surface is also equal to 0, because angle between E and dA is 90. Electric field lines are in this way, while area is in this way, so no line pass through this surface area. Okay, so we can write it equal to q by epsilon 0. Then we can solve for electric field intensity. So E is equal to q divided by 2 pi RL epsilon 0, and since q by L is equal to lambda, that is linear charge density. We have studied earlier linear charge density, charge per unit length of the wire, that is represented by lambda. So q by L can be written equal to lambda. So we can write like this: lambda upon 2 pi epsilon 0 r. Here we can see that electric field intensity is inversely proportional to the distance of the point from the wire. Hence, when distance from the wire increases, electric field intensity decreases. So in this way we can calculate electric field intensity due to a linear charge distribution. We can also plot graph between E and R also. So this is your homework question, that plot graph between electric field intensity and distance. Okay, we will discuss one more application in the later video. Thank you.